All right, what's going on, y'all? My name is Emmanuel,
My name is Amamihe.
and welcome to Talk Unbounded, where we're talking business, money, and finance.
So that you can feel empowered to take action and impact those around you.
Yes, sir. So before we get into this installment of Talk Unbounded, if you guys appreciate this content, definitely leave a like down below, as well as a comment on what you want to see next. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So today we're talking about, how exactly we got started, right? So we sort of gave you guys an insight onto what exactly we do, right? I'm a foreign exchange trader. And my boy Mihe, he's a businessman, right? He runs a jewelry business. So we want to definitely follow up on that and talk about, exactly how we even got started with this, right? How did I even, become a trader? How did he even, get into jewelry, right? So
Yeah.
without further ado, Mihe, let him know. How did you even get started with jewelry, bro?
Yeah. It's just kind of out there, like jewelry. I think you even mentioned like before, uh, it's just it's just like in the
Yeah.
cut. Like it's like I'm into like jewelry is like it just seems kind of like a remote idea.
Yeah.
Um, but I got started because I first of all I got a pretty large family, and
How many people you got? How many
I
siblings?
So I have seven siblings, same household, everything, and um, I have three sisters, and of course my mother, and four women in my life who that I started life with, and they're all very dynamic, have dynamic fashion senses, and just strong character and outlook on the world, and that um, heavily influenced me, and like so what they wore, and their different styles and the way that they express themselves through fashion and style heavily resonated with me, and and of course our upbringing being we're a Nigerian household, and specifically the Igbo group of southeastern Nigeria. That's our culture. Heavily influenced me, and my mom throughout her life, she definitely was all about celebrating yourself and your and what you do and everything that you're about. So that all of like and then also I was just into rocks and minerals, and that just always stuck with me. So when I decided to start my business, flashing forward, um, I was doing a few other things within e-commerce. I tried this is random stuff. We'll get into that another time. But when I got into jewelry, after taking all those influences and putting them into one thing, my mom's message of celebrating yourself in everything you do, our African upbringing, um, and these all these women in my life, fashion sense and the way they express themselves through what they wear, along with their personality and character within. That made me choose jewelry, and yeah, so choosing that product in mind, I was like, all right. The first business model, as I mentioned, was with drop shipping. In our last video, I said that it was essentially, yeah, you reach out, you find products that are either already made, or you figure out how to, just make that product, and you from suppliers, and you focus on making the store, the website, and you market, you get customers, those customers buy from your website, you send that information over to your supplier, and they send it to your customer without you having to touch any of that. Sounds great. It sounds, pretty smooth and straightforward. Um, for me, it kind of fell apart. Um, but that's kind of how I got started with it. Um, it just kind of morphed from, you know, this drop shipping thing um, to what I'm trying to grow into now. And yeah, so it really just stemmed from learning about e-commerce and how people were starting to talk about, starting stores on Shopify or WordPress or Wix and things like that. And I would be hearing this stuff in school. And, it slowly progressed into, just doing more research, learning about marketing, learning about, how to find customers, how to source products, like I mentioned, and, having a real story to tell and, trying to identify, have, share your story with the world and get them to identify with that story. Your authentic, telling that authentic story to the world. So yeah, like I just started learning about that stuff, and over time, eventually, those ideas about, from like my, interest in, celebrating myself, African culture, even rocks and minerals, all that stuff. Like it just kind of, that ended up becoming the product that worked for me, that made sense. And I tied that knowledge about e-commerce together, and yeah, just got started, and I am starting always, but that was back. I started in January 2018, and we're on our way.
Got you. Yeah, I mean that's really cool because it wasn't like you woke up one day and was like, I'm gonna start a jewelry business. It's like you sort of tied in all these different influences, all these different interests that you had, excuse me, and that eventually led you to, creating a business, something that you can provide a value to the world. So, I mean, combining your interests with rocks and minerals, and then, the influence from your home, and growing up with a lot of women, and, being, a good thing to celebrate yourself, as well as, your own personal endeavors in marketing and e-commerce, just bringing all those things together to eventually create a business. So, I mean, if somebody asked you, maybe 4 years ago, well before you started, and they told you you're gonna start a Afrocentric jewelry business, you'd probably be like, "The hell?" But it's
It'll
just
probably be something Afrocentric, but like it wouldn't like I wouldn't. I would have been like, In fact, I might have even thought of it sooner if someone told me, but it would have been out of pocket.
Yeah, it wouldn't all like
Yeah.
it wouldn't all be coherent. It'd just be like, that's a thought.
It's an
But
idea.
exactly. So, as you develop more experience, and, started thinking about how you can, utilize your interest in this world to be of value to other people, that's how it kind of formed and morphed. But the reason why I bring this up is because, you may not necessarily know what your passion is right off the bat. It just comes from, trying out different things, looking back on, what you like to do, what has influenced you in the past, and then eventually it all comes together. But it's just important, and this is, deeply rooted in, Talk Unbounded's mission is to start, and take action on things, and, try out things for yourself, so that you can see if it's even something you see yourself, developing or pursuing as a real venture. All right,
Yeah.
y'all. So
How did you get started though?
how
Like
did I get?
what made you say what you mentioned? We mentioned it before, but just kind of tell us your origin, how like finance and like this philosophy of just like wanting to embrace financial literacy and stuff. Like what was that journey for you?
Yeah, so if you guys don't already know, I'm a trader and investor within the foreign exchange market. So it was really in my senior year of college that I was introduced to foreign exchange, but my mindset was already in a place to accept, taking on that venture, right? So I was, after college, I was gonna go straight into the workforce, and start, generating income for myself. But there's been, some books that I've read, as well as, influence from my parents that, developed my mindset of definitely starting to invest your money so that you can start building wealth and having something to pass on to future generations. And if it's something that, you truly enjoy, then all the better, right? So I was already, in the mindset of definitely wanting to invest right after school. now that I would have some, income to actually put funds towards something. And it was during my senior year of college that, I really started looking at different asset classes, ways to invest my money. So, real estate was something I was looking at, Amazon FBA, even stocks for a little bit. But when I was introduced to Forex, I think just because it was so, new and something that I had never heard about, that really, piqued my interest in terms of really, diving into it and seeing what this is. And I've always had, sort of an analytical mindset. I like to analyze things. I like to look at data and put pieces together and make sense out of it. So when I was looking at foreign exchange and seeing that, there is a cool technical aspect of it, that, piqued my interest even more. And then also the mental and psychological aspect of things involved, right? So, proper risk management, knowing to, stick to your strategy and being disciplined through the losses and the wins, right? Maximizing your profits, minimizing your losses, and looking at, chart patterns, all these different things, were kind of things that I already liked doing, right? I decided to pursue a degree in engineering because I really liked math and science. And if I could find something in the investing world that also has those components, then, even that's like a wonderland for me. So that's sort of, how I got started in terms of, looking at this investment class and then just, deciding to pursue it because it has everything that I'm already interested in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's essentially like, that's how we got in this, we just
Yeah.
got started.
Simple as that.
And I think a key thing Emmanuel mentioned was that he was in the mindset,
Mm.
so that when this opportunity did come, you know, it just made sense slowly as, you learn more about it and get more educated about a particular thing you want to do, a particular venture. It just clicks, hopefully. Yeah, for me, right, it was all those things and that I experienced, throughout my upbringing. And then as I started becoming interested in business and e-commerce and, marketing and all these different topics, everything kind of coalesced when I decided to pick a certain type of product or be in a certain type of industry.
Mm.
So yeah, just that's the key thing about getting started. You got to just put yourself in the right mindset and always be searching, always be looking for new things. And we mentioned that in our ePDF about 5 steps to taking action on your passion. Like how do opportunities, how do we just come up with, becoming a Forex investor or becoming an entrepreneur within a specific product line? Like how does that come about? And we do mention, if you look into it, how to, be open and receptive to those opportunities once they show up. And if you want access to that ePDF, we encourage you to check out our sign up link in the description box of this video, as well as following us on Instagram, where in our link in the bio, we have the sign up link where we'll be able to send you that ePDF as the start to many and many more e-newsletters. So check that out. We encourage you to, like we said before, like my boy Emmanuel said before, like the video. And also hit the notification bell and subscribe to talk about if you want to hear more about what we do and, how we're growing through this journey and how we want to link up with you. And, if you haven't started with anything yet, encourage you to do so. And if you are in something right now, working on a business or a venture or trading, whatever it might be, to encourage you there too. So if you're into this content, stick with us and there will be much more. With that, my name is Amamihe.
My name is Emmanuel.
And from Talking Bounded, we are signing out.
All right. Peace out.
Bye.